Before we get started with this episode of the Artists and Emotions podcast, I want to give a little bit of a trigger warning. This episode contains subject matter such as depression, deep depression, struggling to figure out where you belong in the world, and racism within the entertainment industry itself. If these are subjects that you feel you are not comfortable listening to, or you feel may trigger you in some way, I do not recommend listening to this episode of the podcast. But without any further ado, let's get started.
You're from Zurich. I lived there for 3 years, studying at university. Oh, it is my favorite city in the whole wide world. Oh my God, I could live there. The girl, oh!
They're quite nice.
Yes, quite nice, quite nice.
Did you think I wouldn't find these?
You're supposed to help me keep my food down.
Ridiculous.
You can't control me, Camilla. I'm not one of your punch-drunk patients waiting for you to feed me my meds.
You think this is about control? God, I go through hell for you, Jordan. All I do is
I'm
sacrifice.
hurting right now. I feel like I'm losing everything that matters to me the most. Can't you see that?
Malcolm, what are you doing?
I am doing something I should have done a long time ago. You had your chance, pussy, but now I'm shutting you out.
It seems like you're getting too comfortable, Jesus. No disrespect. Since when have you put so much trust in an African American?
Well, judging by your rings, I'm guessing you're married.
That's right. What's so funny?
Well, it was kind of a weird thing for a woman to say to a man in front of her husband.
And did you? Always in the middle of it. Always. I always got to be the fucking buffer between them.
Look, I hear you, kid. But you gotta not worry about this. Your brother, he's gonna come back.
I followed the older sister and you're right. Not only is she a witch, it's a family show. You know, I'm something of a fortune teller myself.
I'm sorry, what?
I foresee now you and I going out on a date.
Welcome to the Artists and Emotions podcast. I'm your host, Cody Alexander Curtis, and I have with me Alex Javo, who, if any of you who have watched or heard the demo reel I played before we got started with this, I think his talent and his drive can certainly speak for himself. But Alex, how are you doing today?
Well, thank you so much, Cody. Thanks for having me, and I really appreciate it. I've been doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Now, for all of those who are listening, Alex and I met about a month ago. We were on set for David Axe, who's a local filmmaker here down in Georgia and South Carolina. And to be honest, there was something I was sort of struck from when it comes to talking to you, Alex, and that's I think the thing is you're driving your passion and how you sort of eloquently put things in terms of why you got started in this in the first place. Your love for this, and first of all, for those any of those who have met Alex, you also know how funny of an individual he is in person. So Alex, how did you get started with all this? Like, when did you decide that you wanted to pursue this, and what made you decide to not only pursue it but go after it with such basically the fire you're going after it with it right now?
Well, great question. I think it was for me, it was a gradual thing. I've always been interested in people, and people's stories and stuff like that. My grandmother and grandfather and have made a big influence in my life. My grandmother is a Korean immigrant from Seoul, Korea, and my grandfather was in the army back in the day. And that's how he obviously met her, went over there and served and met her and fell in love and brought her back. And I was always so fascinated by their stories of how they got married and falling in love and all that stuff at an early age. They're 19, 20 years old, and came over here. And so, and also I've always been into accents and impressions, because my grandmother was the first one I ever kind of made fun of. Her thick Korean accent, she would say, Alex, you hungry? She come here. And so, and then my grandfather, who's from Columbus, Georgia, he's all down here like this, kind of like Sam Elliott. What are you doing, boy? And so they're back and forth, and then my mom and my sister seem to think that they're from California, and so it was always fun around the dinner table to make fun of everyone. And and so yeah, I mean, and then that kind of trying to have fun type of thing you're talking about, making fun of people, but it all comes from love. It's not just being an asshole. It's because I am genuinely interested in their story and their culture and their accent and their life, and what's led them to pursue what they're pursuing. And I was really interested in how my grandfather got into his printing business, and my grandmother, who came here and was always his partner, but also opened up her own salon and stuff like that. Just really driven, hardworking, family members in my life, and that kind of love and passion for people moved on when I became an adult and started working jobs, working at fast food places and working at gyms like LA Fitness. I worked at and so being in Georgia and and near Atlanta, where very, very high population of Hispanic people. Everybody first sees me and thinks Mexican, and so everybody has come to me, gosh, from when I was so small, just like, habla español, you speak Spanish, where are you from? Oh, what? And I swear, hand to God, this is a true story. I was at Planet Fitness working out one day. I don't go there anymore, but I was there, and two Mexican guys came up to me, and they were like, speaking Spanish, and I was like, I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. And they're like, oh, where are you from? And I was like, oh, my father was Greek, and he was, and they're like, Greek, what is that? And then I was like, it's like by Italy, and they're like, oh, you're Italian. And I was like, yeah. We laughed it off. I was like, okay. And my girlfriend, who's Mexican now, I told her that story, and she's like, probably because you said Greek, like Greece in Spanish is Grecia, so they didn't know Greek, they didn't think that connection. And I was like, oh, okay. But but yeah, my father was full Greek. He passed away when I was a baby. Didn't really have a chance to learn his accent, make fun of him. But yeah, I've always had that kind of love for people, and that interest in people's stories, and that kind of grew into, I always had people, as you know, I try to subconsciously be the center of attention. And so I've always had people tell me in school, or when I'm trying to be the class clown or something, or they've always said, you should just be an actor, go into drama or go into theater. They've always said that. And I never I don't know, I never did. I never connected movies with like theater acting. Like I never connected the two. I've always loved movies and TV and cartoons ever since I've existed. It's just, I can remember just loving just like literally Mickey Mouse crap that would come on, first thing in the morning. But like I've always had that love for movies and stuff, and I moved around a lot with my mom as a kid growing up and in teens, and so I didn't really have the chance to really stay committed to something like sports. Didn't do sports or anything, and we were moving around and we didn't know, situation and stuff. But yeah, it was when I was 21. I had, I had been working for a while and was staying in, Fly Branch is where I live for a while with the family, the grandparents and everybody's around here now and close by. My sister's just an exit down, and so everybody's close. And we got comfortable here, and when with me working and this and that, and kind of being 21, I was like, I'm gonna give this acting thing a shot, because I kept hearing about all this movies and stuff happening in Atlanta, and I was like, give it a shot. And I became an extra, and was an extra for about a year and a half, extra and stand-in stuff for Cobra Kai, Godzilla King of Monsters, Tag was the first thing I ever been on. So then obviously, my, want to being, in front of the camera, because I would see the big stars and I was like, and not in an arrogant way or I could do it better than them kind of way. Not that at all. It was just having that confidence. I think is important to believe in yourself and think I could do that, or I could do what they're doing. And I'm willing to put in the hard work to be able to do it and do it comfortably. And so I started taking classes, started reading books, started reading, I highly recommend to actors out there, The Power of the Actor by Ivana Chubbuck. That's like the main first one that really gave me a focus on the art of acting. That's another great book, The Art of Acting by Stella Adler. I love all those books and was just really studying. And then 2019, I was like, I'm a big New Year's resolution guy. So every year I'm like trying to do a goal. And for that goal, it was, okay, no more extra stuff. Just, I don't care how small the part. I'll do student films or whatever, because student films is usually where you start as an actor to get work. It's unpaid, but you get, experience with student filmmakers. And if you go to SCAD and do SCAD films, the quality of the film is usually really good for reels and stuff like that. But yeah, I went into 2019. I said my goal was to be on TV, to get a TV role, and I was blessed to get 3, 2 episodes on Homicide Hunter that was on Investigation Discovery, and 1 episode on Murder Comes Home. But yeah, that was pretty cool. And my family love them, but they weren't really thrilled about me wanting to be an actor at first. My mother was. My mother was the only one, really, literally the only one that ever said, when I said I want to be an actor, she goes, "You will do this." That's what she said. I was like, I'm in. And everyone else was, it's a competitive industry. I totally get it. They were like, you really want to invest all this into that, and everybody wants to do it. It wasn't until I got on TV on Homicide Hunter and they saw that on TV, everybody was like, "Oh, he's actually pretty good, man." Yeah, keep doing it. They're like, keep going. I was like, okay. And yeah, from there it's been each year. I mean, I try to have a goal, get on movie, be the lead, be this and that every year. And 2020 happened, and I was like, that year I said I wanted to be in a movie, and I auditioned for Condor's Nest with Phil Blatberger as the director and writer. I auditioned and through self-tape and stuff, did a couple callbacks, and that has Arnold Vosloo from The Mummy. I had my scene with Jorge Garcia from Lost. Jackson Rathbone kills it in it. They all do, but Jackson just really stood out to me from Twilight. A lot of great cast members and the crew, and everybody was just wonderful. So I booked that movie in 2020, but because of COVID, we couldn't shoot it till 2021. So I got on it in 2021, had a lot of time with the script, year and a half with it. My guy was Javier Montero, and he and because he was from Buenos Aires, Argentina, I wanted to get the accent right. I didn't want to offend any Argentinians that could come across the movie. And so what I did was it was funny. I had two friends who knew two friends that were from Buenos Aires, Argentina, in the film world, which is hilarious. One was a writer, one was a director, and they knew like Argentinian friends. And so yeah, they really helped me with Lando and Flo. They really helped, a guy and a girl. They really helped me with the accent, the language, because they speak Castellano, which is like a mix. And that's basically like a mix between Spanish and Italian. But they really helped me with the lines, with the dialect, all that stuff. And so it was really fun to study that role for a year and a half. And then just from there, it's just been networking, trying to get other roles, and yeah.
I mean, that's top to bottom. That's an incredible story. And of course, the story is only getting better because the next thing I want to sort of talk about, which at this current moment, for those of you who don't know, Malcolm's going to be coming out in October. And I sort of want to talk about that because from everything that you've sort of mentioned and from our conversations on set, it sort of feels like Malcolm is like it's like the top of the totem pole in terms of everything you've been building towards and working towards in terms of everything you've crafted as an actor up until this point. It feels like Malcolm is that thing for you.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you mentioning it. Yeah, Malcolm is one of my kids. No, he I'm very fortunate for the acting jobs that I have gotten. I really enjoyed working with you guys and David Axe on Left One Alive, and that role was great. I just for the first year of acting, like that 2019 year, it was like I always got drug cartel, drug dealer type stuff, right? A lot of day players, a lot of I've gotten some, basically when I started branching out when I really became like a writer. I was getting a lot of those kind of roles, and I wanted to show the industry or the Atlanta filmmakers that I could do more than just be the Mexican drug dealer in the film. But what I did was I wrote 3 different short films. I wrote a gangster one, I wrote a Western, and I wrote a racer kind of film. Bought a camera, shot them. They didn't look very good, but out of the 3 I entered in the film festivals, the gangster one got a win at a festival, Global Shorts Film Festival, and I was like, there's obviously something here. And so what I did was I expanded that one and made it longer, and I rewrote it and tried to make it better. That process in itself took a year. I presented that to some indie filmmakers, and one guy, Jay Moretti, liked it, and me and him just saw eye to eye. Me and him both fell in love with Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese, and we were just like, let's do this. And so we shot that, and that Enzo short film, which is, why am I pointing that way?
There.
Is that poster, that film was pretty successful in the festival route, and through that, having that openness to be a writer and posting, on social media, you know, scenes of me being more than just the guy with the accent, with the, you know, doing the drug deal or whatever. You know, that I think showed the Atlanta market that, oh, Alex could do more than just that role. And I started getting, when I got the gangster thing, I started getting more, you know, like gangster stuff, and then it turned into villain stuff. I got the villain and everything, and then and that really came also when we did the first Malcolm short film, which I went to this great networking spot in Atlanta called Flicks and Drinks, that Mikhail Tot is the host of. And sorry if I mispronounced your name, dude. But no, he throws this event a couple times a year. It's great. It's really chill. You go there and you watch short films and trailers and music videos, and everybody talks, networks, drinks. It's all great. And the very first one I went to, I came early as I try to for most things. And the first guy I see when I walk in there is Chadwick Whitmire. And and what's funny is, you know, he's, you know, just hanging out and with his girlfriend, and I'm there, and I'm you know, I'm talkative and stuff when I'm with people that I know, but when I don't know anyone in the room, I'm pretty shy. I don't really say anything for the most part, but like which people don't believe, but I will I had to tell myself, you're here to network, dude. Freaking open up. And so what I did was I said, hey, how you guys doing? What are you showing tonight? Are you showing something tonight? And Chadwick said, yeah, my trailer for my short film. And I said, okay. And I said, where are you from? And he said, Gainesville. And I'm like, I'm in Flagler Branch. It's like 10 minutes. We're like, oh man. So we just like hit it off like right then and there. No one else in that place lived where we live. So I thought, you know, it's maybe destiny, you know? And so me and him sat next to each other, watched all the films and stuff that showed that night. They had a really comedic element to like really all of them that night, except for his. I really liked how intense his was. And I was like, so me and him really saw eye to eye, and you know, and we were just exchanging numbers and stuff. And I was like, let's work together, you know. And he said, yeah, you know. And he that week sent me a script, that first chapter, that first short film of Malcolm. And I just, as an actor, I'm always trying to be challenged. I'm always trying to accept challenge, whatever it is, if it's an accent or if it's, you know, something to do with mental illness, which that's what really stuck out about this guy. Malcolm he is a schizophrenic serial killer that doesn't want to kill. You know, he's being forced to kill, almost possessed. And so I was like really I was like, wow, you know, having a voice in my head, I haven't done that before. So I was all over it. I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And we shot it, we did it. It was a great time. And we were just had such a great time. We're like, let's do another one, you know. And so we wrote a second one, a third one, and then all of a sudden we had 5, 6. And as you know, a lot of money goes into making anything, you know, if it's films or web series or whatever. And we were like, at first, it's just to start off as like just a fun thing, you know, something to post out there and make people look and see what we can do for both of us, you know. And we brought in a great cinematographer and DP and editor, Johnny Ray, who then became our co-director for the feature length. And it was just something that, you know, he was fresh out of film school, and Chadwick hadn't, you know, really shot anything. And I'm just trying to, you know, expand my range if I can of acting. And so it was just something for us to just do, to show the public what we can do. And with that, with posting these little short films, we started to get traction. You know, I started to get villain jobs, and you know, I got from that, I got like shooter, like in short films, like I come in, I'm shooting up the place, that kind of guy, and like just all kinds of stuff. But I was generating more work is the whole point through that. And Chad was getting more writing jobs, and Johnny Ray was getting on more sets, more shooting and editing stuff, and so it was great for all of us. But I had the idea. I was like, guys, you know, we're certainly spending enough money doing these. Let's try to make some of it back. You know, and so we're doing, you know, research into what should we do, what's the best route for streaming and stuff, and everybody was saying, you know, that, you know, a feature film would be awesome. And so that's what we did. We were trying to, you know, put together a feature length, you know, movie, you know, reshoot some stuff, make some stuff better, finish it up, do the beginning, do the end, plug them all together and make out a feature film. And so that's what we did. And what's great about Malcolm, and, you know, I told Chad and Johnny this actually yesterday, I keep telling them how much I appreciate them with trusting in me to have that leading spot in a film, because you know, it's hard to get on any set, really, but even as a supporting role, but, you know, but to get the lead, to get the guy, especially, not trying to make this a race or color thing, but especially with a guy with my kind of look, it's hard for at least for me to really get a good or to get a leading part. It's tough. You know, I always get supporting roles and day players, which is great. I love it. I do that forever. I'm just happy working as an actor, to be honest. But at the same time, you want to show, you know, that you can do more, you know, and that there's more to you, you know, because I grew up, you know, following and loving, you know, at first it was Christian Bale, Leo DiCaprio, you know, Tom Hanks, Denzel Washington, Joaquin Phoenix, going back in time, River Phoenix. When I started studying acting and studying movies, you know, specifically just to know about cinema history, fell in love with De Niro, Marlon Brando, James Dean, all these guys. You know, they've all had Al Pacino. All these guys have had such a huge impact on my life and now as an actor. So it's just seeing those guys, I just want to, you know, be them.
Yeah. I mean, that's understandable. And I think sort of I only knew about the fact that I didn't know Malcolm was a short before it became a feature. Like learning the fact that I think the first time I saw anything from Malcolm, it wasn't even from any of the marketing you guys have done. It was from your demo reel. Like that's the first time. And the clip that you put on it took me by such surprise. Like, because the first time I saw it was, I think, 2 weeks after we worked together. And I mean, we had great conversation and a great community around us, but I didn't really get the opportunity to see you act that much. And then the first thing I see you acting in is this like little Malcolm clip on your demo reel, and it completely took me by surprise. It's like, and seriously, man, it takes a lot of hard work, but you absolutely deserve all the success that you guys are getting with Malcolm, especially since, besides the fact that it's going to be going to Amazon Prime Video this October, you're also getting the chance to show it into a couple of movie theaters, a couple of like little independent theaters here in the South in October as well. Like, this is all super, super great stuff.
Well, yeah, I was, you know, for marketing a movie, I was telling the guys, you know, I really want to get this thing released by October, around Halloween. I mean, because, you know, I'm thinking, I mean, who's going to really, I mean, I'm sure horror movie fans will watch a horror movie any day, but I'm thinking obviously we would generate more interest if we release a horror psychological thriller film in Halloween time than Thanksgiving. So I was like, let's really get this thing, you know, finished and out there and submitted, and yeah, so yeah, it's just all great, surreal. This wasn't anything that me and Chadwick and Johnny were expecting or planning to do. I mean, we first started shooting Malcolm in 2021. So this is 2023, and we just love attacking it every time. A new, scene or, you know, um, and yeah, and Chadwick's working on the sequel. He's writing the sequel, Malcolm 2 already. So, and he says that he wants it bloodier. He wants it to be more intense, and I am very excited for that.
That is really great to hear.
Yeah.
And once again, more updates coming every day. And by the way, we are recording this in August, but the funny thing, something I haven't told you, Alex, is that ever since the update about Malcolm being released around Halloween was coming out, I may or may not have strategized to have this particular episode of the podcast with you to be released around the same time when Malcolm will be released for the public to go see. So there is but you did touch on something earlier that while you kind of brushed it off a little bit, I think it is a good transition in terms of talking about mental health and being in this space, and that is race in regards to the entertainment industry. Because although it is an issue that is definitely being looked at more and more, the fact of the matter is there is without a doubt a prejudice that has been in the entertainment space for a long time, like basically since it's opened up, and doors are being opened up more and more for people. But the fact is, you're right, is that because of the way someone looks or they sound or they act or the color of their skin, those opportunities a good portion of the time, at least at the beginning, they are held back from people.
Yeah. For as far as mental illness in the entertainment industry, or I think just in general, yeah, it's a I feel like 50 years ago or whenever, we didn't really, it's hard to say if we really had if they really knew about it, or if they really acted on it, because the terms now, there's a term for everything, being dyslexic, being dealing with depression, dealing with Malcolm. I didn't know anything about mental illness, really. It was a great opportunity to learn and research about this disease, schizophrenia. Chadwick, knows some people that suffer from that, and one guy who Malcolm's loosely based on is he came to the first set, and I got to speak with him. Really nice guy. I hope he's doing well. But yeah, it was really nice to learn about several different mental illnesses. I studied for the role, and studying schizophrenia, psychopathy, multiple personality disorder, getting to study serial killers and obviously classic villains, from movies that we enjoy, like Joker, Green Goblin, Hannibal Lecter, a bunch of guys that based the voice off of. But no, but as far as mental illness in the real world, for me, it just seems like it's such a cliche, or it's just like, for guys, it's just like almost like a suck it up, young man kind of attitude, at least what I'm used to.
Yeah.
So, and the only answer is to work harder. And it's like, and I feel like what's important for men and women is the times that I don't feel depressed or down is usually when I have a goal, when I have a destination. If you're just, in your feelings and just kind of floating around, that's usually the time that depression kind of sneaks up on you. And one thing, I would say to the actors that are out there and with the strike and everything, is to no matter what, stay optimistic and to keep moving forward, and know that you are valued, that you are loved, that your work is not taken for granted by everyone. It's because I think these are the times, like there was a lot of suicides and depressive or depressions, depressional states like in COVID time 2020. And now it's sad to see that this strike's kind of almost redoing the same kind of thing for some people. But that's why I try to you know keep working. I try to keep putting out content. I mean, it's not even to I'm not trying to say like oh I'm not standing, you know what I mean, for the strike.
Yeah.
It's that it's mentally for me. I have to keep working, mentally and spiritually. It's just I don't know if it's something to do with how I was raised or what. It's just I know that I have to keep working to stay alive. I mean, it's almost like that Robin Williams speech when he was saying, I believe that was Dead Poet Society, when he was saying, these are noble pursuits, oil, cars, whatever, but you know, art, poetry, love. These are the things that we stay alive for. And that really resonates with me. It's like there's nothing that I love more besides my family stuff than acting. I mean, just making movies just fills me up, as I mean, you're an actor. It just fills you up to like nothing could compare. It's I remember coming home from one of those student films. I was playing an asshole, but all day I was playing this role, and I came home and I told my family, I said, I know what I want to do for the rest of my life. They said, what? I said, I want to be an actor. I want to do this. I could do this forever. I could do this. That's how much enjoyment I get out of it. And they're just so happy to see that I found something, because all those years, in school growing up, I didn't really know, moving around, and I don't really know. I mean, and so all these little nuggets here and there with the impressions and the accents and the love for people and hearing their stories and all of that stuff, and trying to be the class clown, center of attention, crap, all that put into what jobs that kind of require those things, or and it's like it just kind of fit for me. Love studying people and getting to know these characters and performing them as realistic as possible.
Yeah, I think you touched on something, and no, it's not a thing. I know you touched on something that I do connect with pretty deeply, and that's the aspect of being happiest when you're working. Like, the fact of the matter is, with the strike and everything slowed down right now, obviously work is a little bit slowed, but I found it's one of the reasons why I started the podcast up, is because not only to talk about what we're talking about here, which is the whole mental health aspect of being in an industry that requires you to be so vulnerable 95% of the time, and one that is filled with 95% of the time you're not working. And that was one of it. But the other aspect is, between acting and writing and everything else, just staying busy and staying, like you said, having a goal in mind. That's also the place that I find myself the happiest too. It's just, and I think that's the sort of the key takeaway here, is that if you are in a spot where you feel really down, but you have one, two, maybe three things that bring you the most joy that you can think of when you are feeling so miserable, try to spend as much time as you can doing those things, because if you can, you'll more than likely be able to distract yourself enough to bring yourself out of those sort of slumps, so you can keep going on with your day. And I'm glad to hear you say it, Alex, because for me, I don't know about you, but um my family has always been supportive, but they've never fully understood why I work as hard as I do, or why I work as long as I do during the day to sort of make these things happen. And it's because it makes me happy.
It's not work to you. I mean,
Yeah.
a wise man say, I mean, if you find what you love, you never have to work a day in your life. It's because you love doing it. That's why when you're on a set for 12, 14, 16 hours, and people are like, geez, like that's so long, but it's like I'm having a ball like the whole
Yeah.
16 hours. Like it's like I'm just like having such a blast. And that's the thing. That's the funny thing about when I'm doing like a role or something. Like this past weekend, I did the New Orleans 48-hour film festival challenge, where you make a film in 2 days.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean everybody's low on sleep, and you're like, how do you persevere, you know? And it's because you're almost you're like so into it, you know, your mind almost like leaves your body, like your body's trying to catch up with your mind and your soul almost. And then once you wrap, you just like face plant the bed, like it's just like, because your
Yeah.
body's like, I'm exhausted, you know. Then you know, and so that's the same thing for like when you know those days, you know, on set of Left One Alive or Condor's Nest. I was so freaking nervous to be on set with Jorge Garcia, right? Having scenes with him. I call him a fat shit in Spanish. I'm calling this A-lister fat shit in Spanish. I was nervous. You know, I didn't sleep. I slept probably 1 hour and 30 minutes the night before. So I was so exhausted. Call time was 7. We didn't wrap till 7. I had such a blast on like no sleep for 12 hours. When I got home, or when I got to the hotel, I just passed out. Everybody's going out having dinner. Hey, and they were texting me, hey, come on out. I freaking couldn't function. I had to sleep. I had to take care of my body and rest.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was, but in the moment, like
It's amazing.
I've got some behind the scene videos I never released that I just have for myself. I'm just like you saw me. I'm just having a blast, and this time I was in an accent. I'm messing with the camera guys, and I'm like, oh, "What are you doing?" You know, like as the guy, you know, and just like just having a, because it's just so much fun.
It is. And I can completely relate to that. Just having so much fun and releasing so much energy that when you get home from it, you like pass out and you sleep longer than you probably should. Recently, I wrapped up a short film called Lux with filmmaker Kenneth Perkins here in Augusta, Georgia. We filmed an overnight shoot that went from 7 to 7. It was a blast, but the thing is, it was also a horror film where me and my friend Sarah, who played my wife in the film, we were both supposed to be terrified and doing a lot of physically demanding stuff a good portion of the time. So when I got home, I put my face on my pillow. I didn't wake up for like 12, 13 hours afterwards. but you're right. Like, it's so much fun just being in that space that there's a that me and my buddies have where it's like it's run on overexcitement and energy drinks on film sets.
Yes. And here, cheers to that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but no, what's funny is, so the longest I've been on a set was for another 48. I was on set 22 hours from 6 a.m. to Saturday morning to 4 a.m. Sunday morning.
Wow. Okay.
And I saw everybody have like their own caffeinated drink, like Diet Cokes, coffee, Monster Energy, like Bangs, Reigns, you name it. It's everything. I was like, that coffee maker was working its ass off. Like it was just like it was just like, you know, but no, another thing too is it takes so much energy to just, to, because when you're doing take after take after take, I mean, and you're trying to make it, I mean, that's, one of the tricks is trying to make it like it's the first time every time,
Yeah.
keeping that certain energy up, you know being open to new things. If the director wants to do something new or different, I mean, look at, they said that Joaquin Phoenix for Joker had so many different choices in the and ways he was playing every scene that they could have re-edited the movie and it would be like a whole other movie. There's so many different takes that
Yeah.
in ways he did it, and it was just like, oh wow. But yeah, I mean, it's just, it takes a lot out of you. But you know what? When you're in the zone, you don't feel it till the next
No.
day.
Yeah, you certainly don't. And that's another thing is that it's a certain level of exhaustion that is different for film and theater. Theater, you don't get any breaks as soon as as soon as the curtains come up. It's like 2 hours of nonstop. Acting in film is a lot more contained, but you do have to do it over and over and over again. And especially if it's like an emotionally difficult scene, you need to muster the energy to be able to push yourself through
Oh yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. I try to use, for those kind of scenes, I try to use, I mean, for any scene and any emotion, I think it's, or at least for me, smart to whatever, take whatever's happening, in your life, and because I mean, your character, you know, they could be going through whatever you're going through that day. Like, use it. Like, use, if you had a fight with your girlfriend, or if you are mad at somebody, use that, like, kind of to drive you into your character into the scene. If you're, and what I mean by that is not just, be, if you just got into a fight and you're angry, don't just let the anger out like that. You can let the anger out in several different ways. You could be like a football player or a chess player, you could, you know, but also,
Yeah.
you know, using the environment. I've heard some actors and actresses complain about like the weather or something that day, like, oh god, it's so hot, or oh, it's so this and that. Use it, or it's so cold. I try to use it. I mean, in the performance. I mean, what if if it's snowing, when he's probably going to be freezing? Like, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
and so use it. It makes it more. I think it makes it more, I mean, realistic. You're not trying to look like you're an actor. You're trying
Yeah.
to look like you're a human being,
I
that really exists. And so, and we all can relate to being freezing, to being tired, to being, maybe you slept wrong on the bed that night. You got a little something in your neck. All these things bring layers to the character, I think. And it makes it more well-rounded. That's what I try to do, at least.
I mean, I agree with you 100%. And in terms of the weather thing, I think it certainly does help. The given if you're hot or it's freezing and everything else, if if the scene is built around and the environment is part of it, and the weather that is in the given scene is the same weather that you're currently dealing with, there's no use in fighting it to make it look like it's something different.
Right. Yeah. Just let it flow, man.
Yeah, and plus, I find that one thing that helps me, like right before every take, especially when I'm exhausted, is obviously you get cast in a role, everybody's got their own process, but there's always like a buildup of all the preparation you do on set. But I want to say thank you again, Alex, for coming on and sharing everything that you have, because I think everything that you have said so far, not only about your journey in terms of where you've come from and where you are now with Malcolm's like premiere coming up in October, to everything that could be coming and will be coming down the pipeline for you. It's all really, really exciting stuff. But before we leave off, I sort of want to just pass the mic over to you one last time.
Well, thank you so much. It's been truly an honor to, be on here and to talk with you, any time, you know, I'd be happy to, you know, come on. But no, I mean, just for people to, you know, stay tuned for Malcolm. You know, Malcolm will be out there, Amazon Prime Video and Reveal. If you want to come to the Plaza Theater, October 28th, you know, the showing starts at 3:00. I'll probably be there 2:30. And but yeah, also Malcolm will be coming out, you know, Halloween time, before Halloween. If you like horror movies and surreal mind fuck movies, watch The Raker House on Troma now. Great filmmaker John Covert, great cast, Nicola Salas and Whitney Laveau, and myself and Matthew Ellsworth and Lilith. I'm gonna mess up your last name, Lilith. I'm sorry, but great cast, great film. It's nuts, and my guy's crazy. But yeah, tune in and watch those films. Stay tuned for Malcolm. Any last advice for actors is to stay optimistic. Remember why you got into this thing. Keep pushing, you know. And also, I see a lot of actors that have this trend of, I'm gonna wait tables, I'm gonna rely on my agent, I'm gonna get headshots every few months. That's it. Take classes, waste, you know, spend all my money. Look, do that. But, you know, if you really want to make some strides, go out there, network, get on other films, connect with people. You know, this is my story. You know, I connected with, you know, other filmmakers and have, you know, I've gone to film church groups. You know, I've gone to, you know, film screenings, film festivals. Get out there. You know, you never know who you're gonna. That's how I met my first agent, was a film festival. So it's like, you gotta, you know, you gotta make the time. If you really love this and you moved somewhere for this, you know, don't leave until you've lifted, you know, every rock, so to speak. I mean, just don't leave any rock unturned. And so do all that you can. And yeah, you know, and you'll be surprised with what doors can open for you as an actor. And, you know,
I think that is a great final point, and I think it's very poignant, and I think it's very true. And why do I say this? Because I may have shared this with you, Alex, or maybe not, but I'll share it again here. Before I moved down to Georgia, I lived in the state of Maine, and there's no industry there up whatsoever. So basically, if you want to learn how to be in this industry, you have to do everything, from acting to directing to producing to writing to everything. So before I even moved down to Georgia to pursue the Atlanta markets, I was basically working 24/7, either making my own stuff or basically everything that Alex just said, I was doing up in Maine. And if you're going to move to a market where the industry is quote unquote prevalent, to try to make connections and work more, I highly recommend building up what you can in your home state before you do relocate. Because if you find out that it's not something you want to do, or you find it to be too intense, this industry, unfortunately, is just not going to be for you, because it's work that just never stops, unfortunately.
Right. Exactly.
But thank you everybody for listening. And now, this has been the Artists and Emotions podcast. My name is Cody Alexander Curtis. I'm your host, and I just want to say once again, thank you for tuning in. And we hope that you've been able to take something that we've talked about today with you on your own mental health journey or your own actor's journey. But I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you next time.